Hello, my name is Robbie, and I'm a homeschool mom. I have 3 kids. I have an 11th grader, an 8th grader, and a 1st grader. And I was tagged in the Homeschool Mom Tag. So I wanted to take this time to kind of go over the answers to the questions that were given, and also a big thank you to Jackie G, who is the one who tagged me. She didn't tag me by name, she just tagged anybody who wanted to participate, and I'm really new to YouTube, so I took advantage of that tag, and so yes, I am participating in that based on her tag. Rachel from Day to Day Joys, she is the one who actually started the Homeschool Mom Tag, so thank you, Jackie, for starting this. And so now I'll get into some answers to some of these questions because I just thought they were really fun and I wanted to do it. So, okay, so the first question was, do you homeschool? No. Were you homeschooled? Was I homeschooled? That would be no. I'm old. I'm 48 years old, almost 49 years old. I don't know anybody who was homeschooled from when I was in school. I know nobody. This is something that seems to have really taken off in the last maybe 10, 15 years. So I knew one person when my son, gosh, it was before I was born. I knew one person who homeschooled their child when I was a young adult. And since then, I've seen just this huge explosion in this movement. And so I'm just thrilled with that. But no, I was not homeschooled. I was public schooled all the way through 12th grade, and it was not a good experience. So yeah, that was me. Did I always know that I would homeschool my children? And that was another no. I wasn't opposed to it or against it. I just thought I would never do it. I had put my oldest 2 in private school. It was a wonderful Christian private school. We were thrilled with it, and I just was one of those people that said I would never homeschool. Yeah, never say never. Things do change, and so here I am, 5 years now, 5 years. This is my 5th year, I should say, of homeschooling my children. Okay, what are my 3 favorite books in my homeschool library? That is really hard. So I did think about this for a while. We read a lot of books. My oldest 2 are doing a lot of literature-based programs, literature-based courses, I should say. But have I read all of the books that they have read? No, I have not. My youngest is still not an independent learner. I sit with him pretty much from start to finish on a daily basis. He needs a lot of affirmation and interaction, and he's just not an independent learner. So I don't get a chance to really go over the materials that my older 2 use. So I can't include any of those, although I know that they are reading some phenomenal books, but I can't personally claim them as favorites because I haven't read them. So I will have to pick from the selections of my younger one. So with that in mind, my first one would be the Usborne Look Inside Your Body. My goodness, do I love this book. And he loves this book. And this was the first book that really cultivated the love of learning for him. He would just pore over this book and the pictures and make me read it over and over and over and over and over. And this book has just so much in it. I mean, like flaps within flaps within flaps, and just nuggets of information. I always thought of Lift the Flap books as being completely juvenile, and this is all for younger students. It's just not juvenile in my eyes. It's just got so much information, but it is age appropriate. Oopsies. So we've just enjoyed this book. I really, almost daily, he pulls this book out, along with some of the other Look Inside books that we have by Usborne. This was included in his kindergarten curriculum last year. It was part of the Timberdoodle Elite Kit. And that's sort of started my love for all things look inside. So we have quite a few of these. Just love this book. As a matter of fact, I have a funny story. He has learned so much out of this book that, you know, he just spews random facts all the time. And we were at a doctor's office, and an older gentleman was sucking on a cinnamon stick. And my son thought he had a cigarette, and so he asked him if he was smoking. And the man said, no, I'm actually trying to quit smoking, and I'm sucking on a cinnamon stick because that helps me to not crave a cigarette. And my son said, well, you need to quit smoking because smoking is bad for your lungs, and it will turn your lungs black, and it's also bad for your heart. And the people around us were just cracking up. And the man was like, yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I'm just wanting to, you know, sink into the floor. But yeah. So every time I see somebody smoking and in public, I'm always concerned that he's going to start lecturing them, because he would. Okay, number 2. The Very Greedy Bee. Boy, this book, look at it. It's falling apart. It's been taped in various places. There's tape in the spine here. But this was his first read-aloud book. And I would try to do bedtime stories with him and do all kinds of read-alouds. He would have nothing to do with it. He didn't want any read-alouds. So when he finally got interested in this book, I was so happy. But it's been read over and over. I mean, this was the only book he would let me read for forever. I mean, at least a year, at least, if not longer. I don't even know how long. And literally, I have the book memorized. But it's adorable. It's got beautiful illustrations. It's got a wonderful little story. I mean, look at this. Beautiful, colorful, lots of, interesting text, and it's just a cute story. It's about a bee who is very selfish, and while all of his friends are busy, you know, cleaning and working in the hive, he's out slurping and burping and sucking nectar out of flowers and gorging himself. And eventually he finds a meadow of beautiful flowers, and he gorges himself to the point where he can't fly. And so he has to rely on strangers to help him get home. And fireflies have to light the way, and other insects have to help him across the stream. And so eventually he gets home, and he's really learned his lesson, and he's not selfish anymore, and he decides that he's going to share his honey and his nectar, and they have a big party. And so it's cute, and I love it. You can get it on Scholastic, I found. I thought maybe Amazon would have it, but they didn't have any new copies. But Scholastic actually does carry it still. Okay, so number 3 would be Cat in the Hat, because this was one of my favorites as a kid. It's been a favorite of all 3 of my kids. This actually belonged to my oldest son, and now my youngest has gotten interested in this. And this was another milestone book for us. It was one of the first books that he became interested in after he decided he was done with The Very Greedy Bee. And for a while after the Greedy Bee book, he would only let me read really simple books, They couldn't have a lot of text in them. He would get bored. I would start losing him. He just wasn't interested in anything that had too many words. But this book, he became very interested in, and it's got a lot more words. It's, of course, got a lot of rhyming, and it's a very engaging story. And he'll actually sit and read this now, which I am thrilled with. So this would have to be the number 3 book. Okay. So let me take a look here. What is the next question? Am I the only teacher in our homeschool? Does my spouse help? Do I outsource help? Do I have tutors, etc.? And the answer to that would be that I am the only teacher for the most part. Now, we are part of a charter, so our curriculum is provided through the charter, but I am the only teacher. They have a teacher on record who is there to help if we need them. But for the most part, I do all the teaching. Now, they do have one day a week where the two younger ones go to some enrichment classes, but they would not be the primary part of our homeschool. And it's like music, art, PE, literacy, and STEM. So we actually do this primarily for the social aspect of it. They really enjoy being with peers, their own age, but it's not something that we would have to do to complete our homeschool. So yeah, I'm the primary and pretty much the only teacher. Okay, so where is my favorite place to buy homeschool curriculum? Okay, well, since the two younger ones are part of the charter obviously provides our curriculum, but I get to pick it out. So that's really fun. And my favorite place to get curriculum through the charter is through Timberdoodle. And Timberdoodle is a Christian company, but they do offer Christian and secular kits. So we get the secular kits. And the main difference between the Christian and the secular kits is the science and the history. They use Mystery of History for the Christian kits, and they use Story of the World for the secular kits. And then science is Apologia for the most part on the younger years. And then they just switched actually to Real Science for Kids, which is actually pretty Christian friendly from what I've heard. A lot of Christian families use that, but we do use their secular kit, and we have modified the selections within the kit over the course of the last few years. So we use some Bookshark as well, which is a division of Sunlight, and so we use a combination mostly of Timberdoodle and Bookshark. So those are probably the two favorite places to get curriculum through the charter. Also, we've used Rainbow Resource through the charter. They seem to have the best prices in terms of, when you are buying something new. I rarely see anybody offering anything cheaper than what they offer at Rainbow Resource. And then also for science, Home Science Tools is fantastic. They offer everything from dissection specimens to microscopes, and they might even have telescopes. Actually, I don't know. We have our own, and we haven't bought from them for that. But chemistry sets, lab kits, bacteria samples, just anything you could possibly need for science, they carry. And so we love them. Now, my oldest, who is in 11th grade, he's not being homeschooled through the charter. So I purchase all of his materials. So what I usually do, or at least what I started when we first quit using the charter for him, is I went to Timberdoodle and I got sort of an idea of what I wanted to use. What? Cat! That was naughty! My cat almost knocked over my camera. So, yeah, anyway. Okay, my oldest. I purchased his curriculum since I homeschool him myself. I don't use the charter for his schooling. So, Timberdoodle was where I started when I was looking for ideas for him. That's where I found out about knotgrass and teaching textbooks and Apologia and the writing curriculum that we use, which is the Power in Your Hands and some of those things. So it's a really good resource to get ideas because they pick highly recommended and very well received items for their kits. So I started there. I made a wish list, and then I started looking for used curriculum. And Amazon, eBay, the Facebook groups who have members who are selling their curriculums, all of those are great resources for buying used curriculum. Again, Rainbow Resources, Christian Book is a good one, EduSense is a really good resource because they will offer some pretty steep discounts on curriculum throughout the year. You just got to watch for those. So EduSense is another really good one. So hopefully that answered the question. Let's see. Do I have a set budget for homeschool? No. Since the charter pays for the younger two, their curriculum, there's no budget there per se. Within reason. I've not had any issues getting what we wanted to get through the charter. Now for the older one, again, I don't really set a budget. I make a wish list and then I prioritize that wish list based on what I feel is the most important to the least important, and then I go try to source it out and get the best deals I possibly can for those items. And the things that are not critical, I either leave out, or if I can't find a good deal on them, I may try to find free or less expensive resources for those. Like for instance, I know one year we used Easy Peasy for vocabulary. One year we used spelling, gradespelling.com for spelling. So I actually still use gradespelling.com for spelling. Typingclub.com for typing, that kind of thing. So there's, lots of free resources. I utilize that when I can and try to find the best deals that I can. And I also love to go to thrift stores and used bookstores because a lot of times you'll find some amazing deals there. It's just, you can't always rely on those resources for specific things because it's always what you get is what you get. But I have a lot of books and resources that I've collected by going to Goodwill and other thrift stores in our library. So yeah, I have a lot of fun with that too. Okay, so budget. Okay, what are the 2 must-have homeschool supplies? And do I have to narrow this to 2? Okay. Right now, I'd say the number 1 would be the laser printer. I have an old laser printer. It's like 18 years old. It's an old HP 5P laser printer. This thing is, it's never given me any trouble. It's not the fastest printer in the world. If you're in a hurry to print a lot of pages, you might get impatient with it, but it just prints excellent quality. It's cheap to run. I get $15 cartridges that print hundreds and hundreds of pages, and so I get refurbished ones on Amazon and they last me forever. So I just love that thing. And it got to where my newer computers didn't have a parallel port anymore, and I'm like, how am I going to use my printer? And you just get a converter cable to USB. So that solved that problem. And then as long as I keep that desktop on that has the printer attached to it, and I've set it up as a network printer and a shared printer, then anybody in the house can print to it. So I love that thing. It's been fantastic resource, and I would cry if I didn't have it. The other one would be, right now, one of my favorite things are these work boxes. This really has changed the way we homeschool, and I just love it. It keeps us organized and it keeps us on track. And I did another video where I talk about the work boxes and why we use them, and if it's not up yet, it will be up soon, so be sure to watch for that. So these are just the 10 drawer craft carts that you can get at Michael's. I got these on Amazon, and really the workbox system has really helped us a lot. So right now those are the 2 favorites, with a laminator coming in a close third, and my color printer with this scanner all-in-one deal. I kind of like it too. All right, so my favorite and least subject to teach. My favorite subject to teach, gosh, math or science. I like both, actually. And I didn't like science when I was in school. I always have liked math. I did not like science when I was in school. But I've had so much fun learning science with my kids and organizing and setting up and even helping with experiments that I just love. I just love it. The math I also still really like. So it's kind of a toss-up there. My least favorite, I can tell you right now, is writing. The younger one, not so much. It doesn't bother me. But with the older two, they cannot stand writing. They just absolutely hate it. And teaching a subject that they don't like is just not fun. So, yeah, that'd be my least favorite. Excuse me. I had to tickle my throat. Okay. Am I involved in any co-ops or homeschool groups? No. No co-ops at all. Homeschool groups, I've got a local online community that, you know, sometimes we'll do some things together. It's not very often, but it's not in a learning environment. But because we're in the charter, the younger two have the enrichment classes that they go to once a week. So every Tuesday they go to enrichment classes. It's an all day from 9 to 2, and they get to do STEM, PE, there's a literacy class for the younger kids, art, music, and then they've got some clubs for the older kids. They've had Lego club, they've had community service club, yearbook club, so they just love that, and they get a lot of social interaction with those, and we've been fine with that. I would have done a 4-day school week anyway, kept, you know, 1 day a week for just fun things and field trips and all of that, which we get through the charter. So yeah, that's kind of what we do there. My approach. What is my homeschool approach? Is it Charlotte Mason? Is it classical? Is it eclectic? Etc. Okay. I'd have to say definitely eclectic. We just basically use what works. And I try to tailor what we do to my kids' learning style. Each one of them is quite different. The youngest one has, you know, honestly, had he been in school, I don't know that he would have done really that well because of his learning style. He needs a lot of affirmation. He needs to have someone kind of with him all the time, and lots of hands-on. He's more kinesthetic in the way he learns, visual and kinesthetic. So I'm just thrilled that we've been able to homeschool him. I just don't know how well he would have done if he'd been in school, but because I can tailor my teaching to his learning style, he's doing fantastic. He's like 2 grade levels ahead in reading and a year ahead in just about everything else. So I just love the fact that we're able to school at home. My kids really love it. And so, you know, we just do what works. That's just basically what that is. So, okay, so I've answered all the questions, and yeah. So that's it for the Homeschool Mom Tag. And so if you are watching this video and you're a homeschooler and you would like to participate in this tag, then please, I tag you, because everybody that I'm familiar with has already been tagged. I'm really new to YouTube, so I don't know anybody personally to tag that hasn't already been tagged. So I'm tagging you, and you can actually answer the questions in the comments, or if you have your own channel and you want to participate and do your own video, I would love to see it. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.